As always, we want to say thank you for making zsportslounge.com your choice and the host of affiliates all over this great country of ours. We get a chance to go out to University of Buffalo, talk to their legendary wrestling coach, Jim Beichner. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Yeah, especially since you're not in Buffalo suffering any of that cold chills. You're down in Las Vegas, correct?
Hey, yeah, but it's really not that much warmer here in Vegas, I don't think.
Yeah.
We were hoping it would be warmer.
Yeah, you probably had the sunscreen, the sunblock, because wrestling tournaments, you have a lot of time to enjoy.
Yeah, pretty much once we get on the floor, we're there from 6 a.m. till midnight. And the next day, from probably about 8 in the morning till probably 5 or 6 in the evening. So no, you won't see a whole lot of sun, over the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in wrestling, obviously, because the football season's starting to wind down. Wrestling season is winding up. There's a lot of discussions in the offseason down in Fort Lauderdale. There's just a lot of talk of wrestling, and I haven't seen this much activity probably in 10 years.
Well, there's a lot of good things in wrestling, There's a lot of activity, like you said, and a lot of great tournaments and events and some tremendous athletes to talk about. So we're glad that people are talking about the sport.
Right now, you've got some nice studs in your program that get a chance. They did a nice job in the little scrimmages you guys had set up leading up to this December 4th event. Who are those guys right now that you're looking for to make a big, big, big jump for you this season?
Well, we have 3 captains this year that have all been ranked in the top 20 in the country. Kevin Smith just recently beat a top 6 guy in the country from Cornell University, and that kind of launched him up into the top 11 in the country. Desi Green has been as high as 11th and as low as 19. And Jimmy Hamill is our other captain, and he's ranked around 19th in the country right now. And all 3 of those guys are great athletes, really solid ambassadors, good students. Kevin Smith in particular has a 3.7 GPA in exercise science, and that's eventually going to lead him into probably physical therapy. So we've got some special guys, some good guys.
Yeah, I mean, your program has been named all the time every season. Cornell has been named every season. It's nice to see so much change in wrestling and so much stay the same. Right now, as we look across the framework of the wrestling, in your eyes, before we start breaking down the season and start talking about some of the underclassmen, what are changes that were mentioned in the offseason in Fort Lauderdale that you think is valuable to really take a look at, and possibly those that you think you would like to see not happen?
I'm open to all possibilities. Wrestling has suffered over the years as a result of probably a lot of different things. I wouldn't say any one thing in particular. But the change of the season, I think, is the thing that I think I like the most. If we shifted the season approximately a month, we would basically, season after basketball's over, and we'd have our national championship basically in a time period where we'd get more fans. We'd have an opportunity to get more fans for the NCAA championships. We also would allow us to be a one-semester sport and allow our student athletes to be students the first full semester. I think those are 2 real positive things that I think we may see in the near future.
Yeah, I like those changes, not because of basketball, because the fact is that wrestlers have the toughest season out of any sport. Yeah, I don't like getting into a pool at 5 o'clock in the morning to swim laps, but I'm not going against somebody for the next 4 hours who wants to crush my head into the mat to learn a new move. The wrestlers have the most grueling sport. I mean, thank God that the Randy Coutures of the UFC world have really showcased what an incredible program wrestling is for the nation to follow, and moving it away from basketball, and hopefully the NCAA does an awesome job segueing into that tournament.
Well, exactly. The biggest thing, I think, our data is showing us that our students coming into college their freshman year are coming in with the same kind of accolades academically as other student athletes, but we're underperforming in the classroom. And that's another really big benefit, is we think those freshmen coming in will have a little bit more time to prepare themselves academically and acclimate themselves to the campuses, and hopefully start off on a better note, academically. And hey, you go to school to get an education. And as a wrestling coach, I want wrestling to be right underneath that. We want, education first and wrestling second. And we think that will help that situation.
Yeah, especially with those underclassmen. Now, speaking of underclassmen, who are those that show the biggest promise in the offseason and obviously the earlier scrimmages for you?
Well, it's still really young season for us. And our 41-pounder, Andrew Shute, I think has shown a lot of progress in a short period of time. He's out of Michigan, Yale, Michigan. And, he wrestled Hofstra not too long ago. We tied them. Came down to his match, and he's losing. Going into the final, seconds of the match, and he wound up pulling a win out for us and tying a top 25 team. So I think that Andrew Shute is one of the guys we're looking for. As far as the other young guys, we've got such a long season left. I hope they keep progressing because we have a really good group of guys that really work hard. And as a coach, it's the kind of group that you like coming into the room every day because they're good people. And that makes it easy as a coach.
Well, one of the biggest things that I grab with, and I always bring this up, is that you always use what you know. It's really hard to speak from areas that you don't know. My two boys wrestle. I never wrestled. They're in high school, and they're okay wrestlers. There's no chance of them playing college wrestling, Coach. I'm not going to hit you up. But the one thing that I really draw from this experience watching the earlier scrimmages and throughout the season is really the competitors. My oldest son wrestles at 215. He just got his tar kicked out of him. His clock clean. The guy picked him up and slammed him. He comes over to the side. He's got remorse in his eyes. Well, the young man who's a senior who's going on to wrestle in college walked over and very candidly spoke with him, shook his hand, and made him feel better. You definitely don't see that in football much. You don't see it in basketball. I think it's the one sport where the most talented athletes tend to want to show and help out the guys coming up through the ranks. I think that's one of the biggest, most impressive things in wrestling.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and for whatever reason, maybe it's just our hard-nosed attitude in life. Sometimes we get a little black eye here and there as far as, the way people look at us. But really, there are more classy, hard-working, upstanding people in the sport of wrestling, I think, than just about any other sport. And in general, if you're a friend with a wrestler, that wrestler is going to be your friend for life.
Absolutely. Coach, thanks for taking so much time with us. We're going to make sure and get you on our Twitter box and follow everything that's going on with Buffalo. Is that all right?
That's great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Jim Beichner from University of Buffalo. He's got one of the biggest programs in the country. His name is always mentioned up with the tops in the standings. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We are off the air.